Hey guys, welcome to TheRiaya and a quick Blender tutorial video on how to make a human eye. Now I know I did this before, but this way is actually a bit smoother in the transition between the lens and the eye, and personally I feel it actually looks a lot better. The first thing we're going to do here though is change it from Blender render to Cycles render and begin the editing process. I'll try to be as thorough as possible so anybody who's new to this can follow along and get this done. If I forget to say something, on the bottom left, it's got the screencast key, so you should be able to look and see what is done in case I forget to say something. The first thing we're going to do is delete the cube that's here. So right click on it, hit X and hit delete, and then we're going to add a UV sphere by holding down Shift A. Under mesh, selecting UV sphere. We're going to change the number of rings to 32, so it's the same as the number of segments. It's just the way I do it. And if you want higher quality, obviously you want more segments and rings for the sphere, UV sphere, but this is just how we're going to be doing it for the tutorial. The next thing we're going to do is right click on the camera, hit N to bring up the preferences on the right side. We're going to change the location for the X and the Y to 0, and the rotation to 0 as well. Next thing we're going to do is hit 0 on the number pad to zoom in onto the camera, into the camera itself, and then T to remove the preferences and the transformation tabs, and then go to the top right little corner section here and drag it out so we have another viewport. So we have a viewport on the left and the right side. The left side we're going to zoom on in, so use the mouse wheel to zoom in, and on the right side we're going to hit 0 to take it out of camera mode. And you can zoom in on the sphere itself and right click for the time being. Next we're going to change a couple things in under the render section here just so it makes it a little bit easier in general while you're rendering. I'm going to make a border here so anything that is set into rendered mode on here will not be rendered on the out section here. It'll only be rendered in here. And then we're going to set it to transparent as well under the film section here. One last thing to change here is the light paths, and we're going to make sure it's on full global illumination. And then we're going to move on to the materials tab. So select the materials tab over here. We're going to hit plus, new, and name this eye. Before we get to the actual full editing in here, on the right viewport, hit T to bring up the transformations tab, hit smooth under shading, and hit T again to get rid of it because that's all we needed to do, time being. Then hit tab. When you hit tab, everything is selected as you can see highlighted here. A to unselect it, and then we're going to select the second ring that is right here. Hold down Alt, right click, and it'll select all the way around. If you click on the actual line the vertex is, it might select the segment instead, and you don't want that, so make sure you select it in between to grab it. Then hold down Control, hit plus plus plus, and leave that as is. And under the materials tab, add a new material, do it again, emit lens, and make sure to click assign. We will change the surface later on these two, but we're going to leave it currently. We're just getting this set up with the materials that we want. Zoom back more in on this thing. Then we're going to duplicate where the lens is. Hold down Shift D and hit enter. And we're going to change the size and invert it around. You do this with hitting S for size, Z for locking it on the Z axis, then -1, and hit enter. Now we're going to want to drag this inside, so make sure you grab the blue arrow which is on the Z axis and pull it down so it's just on the inside of the lens itself. And we're going to add a new materials tab here now, so hit plus, new, name it iris, then click assign. Now we're going to do this one more time to make the pupil. You can zoom on inside the eye just to verify that everything is lined up, and it makes it a little easier when we move the pupil. So Shift D, duplicate again. Again, S for size, Z for on the Z axis, the -1, flip it around and pull it down slightly. We're going to leave it like right here. And you can add a new material again, hit new, and name it pupil. assign, and make it black. Now you want to make sure everything is assigned properly, so unselect it by on the right viewport hitting A. Select, like say for the pupil, the iris, click select, that's selected properly. Go to lens, select, and eye, select. All that is set up right. On the left viewport now, we're going to change it over to rendered, and you just see it looks like a white sphere. We'll change that very quickly soon. So under the eye tab, first off, we're going to change it from diffuse on the material and to go to principled BSDF, and we will do the same thing for the lens. Select the lens, go to principled BSDF, and under transmission, turn it all the way up. Now you can see inside the eye itself. Now I didn't change the iris color. You can go ahead and do that too. Go to iris. We're going to leave it on diffuse and change the color. So now you can see that there. Obviously, it's kind of dark, so we're going to change the coloring, or not the coloring, the lamp brightness itself. So right click on the lamp there, or you can just select it from inside this section right here, which is covered by my logo. I'm sorry, but it's scenes there. And you can click use nodes and set the strength to 1,000. Now the one other thing you're going to want to possibly change on the lens is the roughness. You're going to change on the lens and the eye so that they correspond with each other. See, the higher the roughness, the smoother it diffuses across the lens itself. So whatever you set your roughness to on the lens, you're going to want to set it to be the same on the eye itself. So when you rotate if the eye gets moved around, it'll actually be conformed with each other. So if I hit R, then Y, the R will rotate it Y in the Y axis, and you can see it go smoothly with that. And if you want a little smoother on the shading, in general, when you make the render, you can change the light size here itself. Like 0.5 is what I use. It'll make it a bit smoother on the shadowing itself. So one last thing to do, as just a quick side thing, is we're going to go back in onto the eye, or not into edit mode, and we're going to make it so you can actually move the pupil. So you have to go over to the shape keys, hit plus for base, so that leaves the pupil where it is. And we're going to want to add another shape key in here. Now we go into the edit tab itself. Make sure you select the pupil and move it to how big you want to allow it to go. I'm going to move it all the way up to the basically the last ring before you push it up, and it would be right directly into the lens. It didn't look like it changed over here though. You go back to the shape keys and take this out of edit mode. You notice when you move it, then it actually moves the pupil with it. This concludes the video. The render that you see here was done at 2,000 samples with the denoise filter on. I hope this is informative to somebody to make a very nice smooth eye. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, leave a comment below if you have anything to say. And if you aren't subscribed, if you liked what you saw here, hit that subscribe button, and I hope you come back for more.